Racing in with Aetherdrift is the new living energy Precon. Finally, a teamer, blue, green, and red Precon focused on energy. For those playing long enough, this color combination was the original energy combination before white got its nose into everyone else's business. Energy are like poison or experience counters in that they're counters you as the player receive. They can be proliferated, doubled, and spent to fuel a lot of powerful effects while being reasonably tough to obtain. Let's take a look at Living Energy's box legend, Saheeli Radiant Creator. This 4-mana 4/4 human artificer reads, whenever you cast an artificer or artifact spell, gain an energy. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 3 energy. When you do, create a token that's a copy of target permanent you control, except it's a 5/5 artifact creature in addition to its other types and has haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. This is really cool. I love making copies of things, and this is a way to make copies of any permanent you control. An extra Panharmonicon, an extra doubling season, whatever your heart desires as long as you keep making energy. Saheeli definitely leads a deck that would love to have Brutaclad in the 99 to turn all of your tokens into 5/5 copies of your best permanent. And while that's a tempting option, Saheeli isn't the only new legend in the deck. In fact, we also have Pia Nalaar, Chief Mechanic, a mechanic just like me. Pia is a 3-mana 2/4 human artificer that says, whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you gain 2 energy. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, create an XX colorless vehicle token named Nalaar Aetherjet with flying and crew 2, where X is the amount of energy spent this way. Now this one I really like. Not only is she a mechanic, but it's a much more reliable way to generate energy. Mirror or Thopters connecting with an opponent really power you up, and later can crew a big, fat jet plane to start bopping opponents over the head. The fact that Pia makes vehicles and not just creature tokens is a boon and a bane, as they dodge sorcery speed removal very well, but you need the bodies to crew them to make them worthwhile. At least you can use smaller vehicles to crew bigger vehicles as you get later and later into the game. But Pia wants us to be filling a deck with artifact creatures and attacking in at each opponent each turn for maximum energy generation. That sounds like a solid game plan right there. But before we get to the Precon upgrade, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more brews and upgrade guides every week. If I'm shifting this deck to have Pia at the helm, I'm immediately gutting non-artifact creatures. This deck is all about making artifacts, playing artifacts, and connecting with opponents. So my cuts start with Elder Gargaroth, Aetherwind Basilisk, and Pima Aetherseer. Now, these might be all decent cards in a vacuum and may even have some energy synergies, but remember, we're streamlining this deck. These cards don't make us energy every turn and do little to help our main game plan. Rogue Refiner, Aethertide Whale, and Servant of the Conduit can go too. Again, they make energy, but let's be better with our energy generation than including anything and everything that just makes us an energy. We can certainly keep some non-artifact creatures in the deck, like the new Nissa World Soul Speaker. Making 2 energy on landfall and paying 8 energy to free cast spells, that's a great ongoing source of energy and an excellent outlet for it. Same goes for Rampaging Aetherhood. An excellent creature to keep, as you can continue getting 4 or more energy every turn with it, and can eventually pump energy into it for a big trampling attacker with Ward 2. This guy stays. So does the classic Lightning Runner. This guy has received a lot of shade previously. A 5-mana 2/2 doesn't turn heads, but when it's got haste, double strike, and lets you pay 8 energy for an extra combat, that's amazing. Especially considering that, if you can successfully connect with an artifact creature to all 3 opponents while Pia is out, and the Lightning Runner can attack without getting chump blocked, you can make enough energy to keep taking free attacks with this guy. You'll need at least 6 energy already, but it's free extra combat town along with a guaranteed game win after that. Now we'll also be cutting some of the non-essential non-creature spells too, ones that just don't do enough, like Glimmer of Genius, Era of Innovation, and Confiscation Coup. All really unnecessary and poorer uses of our energy than just making a bigger flying vehicle with Pia. Soul Guide Lantern, Disallow, and a bunch of the less than ideal tap lands all get cut too. We want to lean into synergy, and this is broad utility that just doesn't justify its own existence. Why isn't there a counterspell that gains you energy equal to the countered spell's mana value? that would be worth a spot in the list. Which is why I want to add in Access Denied. This is a 5 mana counter spell, and that might be a lot, but it also makes you a bunch of Thopters. When our goal is to be connecting with each opponent every combat with an artifact creature for maximum energy generation, this does what we want it to do. So does Sharding Sphinx. This is a perfect overlap with our commander in terms of what we want to do. Connect with artifact creatures. It makes our army bigger, makes our artifacts, and is a perfect curve topper in this deck. So is Kappa Cannoneer. This big beefy boy is almost assured to be unblockable every turn thanks to our saturation of artifacts, and it gets bigger and bigger while having Ward 4. There's a reason why Big Man Blastoise here sees play in Legacy and is a perfect fit for this deck. Thought Monitor also earns a spot in the list. For us, this is a 1 mana Muldrifter that we can potentially get even more use out of as yet another evasive artifact creature. And I want to replace some of the one-time card draw effects I've removed with Research Thief. This 5 mana artifact creature has Flash for some surprises, and is another evasive attacker. And, oh yeah, draws us a card whenever an artifact creature connects with our opponents. Another perfect overlap of synergy with Pia, and another card that's a must-have in this list. Bident of Thassa, for the same reasons, earns us a spot in this upgrade. It's ongoing card draw for doing what we want to be doing, and unlike several other options for the same effect, is an artifact as well. Fun fact, the Indomitable makes for a fine substitute in this spot too, or added in parallel. Assaultron Dominator is another great add too, being an artifact creature, making energy on enters, and helping buff some of our other artifact creatures. For just a single energy, it can put a trample counter on Pia's massive flying vehicles to help ensure we're always able to connect for more energy. I also want to add Reckless Fireweaver's father, Ingenious Artillerist, to the list. We're making a ton of artifact creatures, token or otherwise, and these two work to tick down opponents' life totals over the course of the game. Too good not to add. And then I want to round out the list with a set of creatures that belong in any artifact-heavy deck. Enthusiastic Mechanaut, Ethereum Sculptor, and Foundry Inspector. These 3 creatures are our ramp in this deck, making all of our many artifacts much cheaper and keep us way ahead of curve by allowing us to cast multiple spells in a turn. I love the new Adaptive Omni tool in the deck, an equipment that pumps the equipped creature and digs for artifacts on attack. It's a Nettlecyst that goes looking for Nettlecyst, which is why I want to put Nettlecyst in the deck too. We're going to be making a ton of artifact tokens, and these equipments help make our artifact tokens large. And as a last little bit of bonus card draw, I want to add the amazing Idol of Oblivion into the deck. It's a Precon staple, so I'm curious why it didn't make it into a list where both commanders make artifact tokens. But regardless, this is a deck where it should definitely be included. Then I've replaced the tap lands with basic lands in a direct swap, keeping the distribution even for forests, mountains, and islands. You'd really be surprised how smoothly a deck plays when your lands always enter untapped. But shout out to the in-deck inclusion of Pain Lands, Check Lands, and Academy Ruins for this deck. That is a great reprint that's awesome to see in a Precon. Now, that's my brief swap for this deck, but what if I wanted to add some real money to the list? It's time for the upgrade. And here's where I'd add Professional Facebreaker first and foremost. It's another perfect overlap with Pia's core function, connecting with each opponent to help accelerate your mana and make more artifact tokens. If you're spending money upgrading this list, this is my #1 buy. Followed by Worldwalker Helm. This not only makes you an extra map token whenever you make an artifact token, from Pia or otherwise, but it lets you make copies of your other artifact tokens. Making a 6/6 flying vehicle with Pia? 2 more mana and now you've got 2 of them. This artifact alone sends you into overdrive. And token doublers naturally would work well in this deck. Adrix and Nev, Parallel Lives, Doubling Season. We're making so many artifact tokens in this deck that a single doubling effect launches our advantage into the stratosphere. And then improving some of our lands would be a big boon too. Adding in Ketria Triome is a good start, since it makes adding the new Verge lands even easier since it enables all of them for an even smoother mana base. And adding in the Battle Bond lands means you can have another set of always untapped lands that make casting any of your spells all the easier. Make sure to let me know in the comments which direction you've taken this Precon upgrade and what cards you're adding. be sure to check out my upgraded list linked below at my sponsor MOXFIELD. MOXFIELD is the best deck building platform in the world and makes it easy to see all my brews all year long, all the time. With powerful search tools, you can find the best cards for your deck, and it's easy to brew to your power preference. Be sure to follow my profile while you're there. And if you're looking to pick up any cards, cheap or expensive, head over to my sponsor Card Trader. Use my promo code right now for 5% off your first order of cards from any TCG. Their Zero system lets you order cards from multiple vendors and have them shipped to you all at once, saving you time and money on shipping. Lastly, if you're looking to sell your cards, head to Card Conduit, the easiest way to sell your cards for Magic, Pokemon, or any other game. You can ship them unsorted to Card Conduit and they'll send you a check. Easy as that. It's the quickest way to sell extra copies or just old stuff you have sitting around. Try them out now. And if you want to see any of my cool brews, check out these other videos on the channel. If you're a fan and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, do it now. But as always folks, good luck and have fun.